Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming down. My name is Gill. I'm the Salt Lake County District Attorney. We are here to announce the filing of criminal charges today from an event that happened within our community on June 15th. As you may be aware, this was at the Westfest Carnival, and initially the findings reported were that there were 3 individuals who were killed at that time, as well as a couple of other individuals who were injured. Today, we are going to be announcing the filing of almost 13 counts, more specifically counts 1 through 4, which will include 4 counts of aggravated murder. The 4th count is that we discovered, as we went through the screening process, that the 41-year-old woman who was killed was 8 weeks pregnant at the time. And as you may recall, there was an 18-year-old who was killed, a 41-year-old woman who was killed, and we learned that she was 8 weeks pregnant at the time of her death, as well as an 8-month-old child who was also killed. Our hearts go out to the members of our community who've lost their loved ones, and our deepest condolences to them. But based on the information that we had, we have filed 13 counts, as I mentioned, counts 1 through 4 of our allegations of ag murder, counts 5 through 9 of felony discharge as first-degree felonies, counts 10 as a felony discharge as a second-degree felony, counts 11 through 13 as felony discharge of third-degree felony. It is important to note these are allegations only. There's a presumption of innocence that applies here. And at this point, I will take you through the facts, which are the basis of our filing of our charges. As a point of note, this is involved, the alleged defendant is a 16-year-old youth, and under our system, when there are charges of aggravated murder, we can elect to file direct file into the district court, and we are exercising that option, so this will be filed into district court and just has been filed as I speak to you. So what happened is that on June 15th, on 2025, officers responded to a shots fired at 5405 West 3100 South at the Westfest Carnival in Salt Lake County. When Officer Manriquez arrived, he located officers holding security over Matthias Contre Lauti Ion Register, our 16-year-old youth and the defendant in this matter. Officer Manriquez was informed that Ione Register was the shooter and his weapon was about 5 feet to the east of him. Due to the high tense situation, Officer Manriquez assisted Ione Register up off the ground and walked him towards the entrance of the festival. Several individuals were attempting to get to Ione Register and yelling at him. Ione Register was taken to a small hidden area, and Officer Manriquez observed Ione Register looking around and smiling several times. Ione Register then excitedly uttered, quote, "I'm going to tell you guys right now, I know what I hit because I know where I was aiming and I know where I was shooting. I did not hit no baby. It was only one person I hit, and that's," end quote. Ione Register further stated, quote, "There was only one person I hit. There was one. He was already over there on the ground, and I've been hitting him. That was the only person I went for. No other bullets went flying elsewhere. There was only one direction, so there is no way I hit that baby," end quote. The statement of West Valley Police Detective Jay Wells that officers located 5 victims from the shooting that night. The deceased victim was identified as an 18-year-old HL, 41-year-old FR, who was 8 weeks pregnant, as I mentioned, and 8-month-old HEL. Additional 15-year-old AR suffered a gunshot wound to his left arm, and then another 17-year-old BL suffered a gunshot wound to her upper left arm. FR, HEL, AR, and BL were located to the east of the incident in the direction of Ione Register was firing. It was noted by several officers that the scene was chaotic. Officers heard a male yell FTCS. TCS is an acronym for Titanic Crip Society, a known gang in the area. Detectives reviewed video surveillance and observed multiple people in the entryway to the carnival. Approximately 2100 hours, Ione Register is seen entering the camera lens from the west side with a firearm extended, firing multiple shots towards the east. HL, the 18-year-old, is seen running, appears to be hit, and falls as Ione Register continues firing at HL while he is on the ground. Ione Register then turns away from HL, jumps, and the gun drops to the ground. Ione Register is then stopped by police. To note, there were also West Valley City Police officers who were present at this carnival, so they were also, as the call went out, they were very quick to respond. Detectives located 12 9mm casings at the scenes. Detectives also recovered Taurus G2C 9mm handgun that returned stolen out of Crowley, Louisiana. The Taurus has a 12-round magazine, and the detectives believe that Ione Register fired the gun until the slag locked back prior to dropping it. Ione Register was interviewed with his mother present. Post Miranda, Ione Register stated that he was at the Westfest with some homies just chilling. Ione Register claimed that he was not responsible for the shooting at Westfest. Ione Register was asked if he had a gun with him when he was arrested, and he said no. Detectives asked Ione Register if he knew HL, and Ione Register said that he did not. Detectives informed Ione Register that HL was deceased and that Ione Register laughed and smiled. When asked what was funny about HL dying, Ione Register said he just liked to laugh about things that are funny. When Ione Register were asked if he knew an 8-month-old baby had died and a 41-year-old female had died, he said he didn't know. Ione Register claimed that when he heard the gunshot, he started to run and saw a small pistol on the ground. Ione Register stated that he picked up the small pistol and then was stopped by the police. During a break, Officer Manriquez informed Detective Wells that during Officer Manriquez's initial encounter with the suspect, Ione Register said he shot the guy he meant to and he did not shoot a baby. After Ione Register and his mother were shown the video of the shooting, Ione Register claimed that the guy with the gun was not him, that he found the gun on the ground. Ione Register's mother then told him that he could not lie, it was on camera. She then asked who they caught and who they arrested. She again asked him who was that on the camera, and Ione Register said it was not him. Ione Register then claimed he had no gun. Dr. Donnelly with the State Office of Medical Examiner conducted autopsies on HL, FR, and AGC. And Dr. Donnelly observed that HL had 5 gunshot wounds, 4 through and through, and 1 bullet retained. Dr. Donnelly stated that 1 bullet grazed HL's arm. Dr. Donnelly noted that HL had damage to his lung, heart, liver, and spleen, and any one of them could be fatal. Dr. Donnelly ruled that HL's cause of death as multiple gunshot wounds and the manner of death as homicide. Dr. Donnelly observed that FR, the 41-year-old female, had a gunshot wound to the head, left to right, at the base of the skull, through and through. Dr. Donnelly noted that FR's baby was 8 weeks along. Dr. Donnelly ruled FR's cause of death as a gunshot wound to the head and the manner of death as homicide. Dr. Donnelly observed that 8-month-old AGC had a gunshot wound to the head, left to right, exiting the back of the skull. Dr. Donnelly ruled AGC's cause of death as a gunshot wound and the manner of death as homicide. Ione Register has a TCS tattoo on his arm and was identified by other known TCS members as a member. I just want to just stop and just say we really appreciate the great work done by our colleagues at the West Valley Police Department and their homicide unit in responding to that, and also for their quick response at an evening where people were just gathered to have fun and be with family and friends, which turned into a tragic shooting that resulting in the loss of life for 4 individuals. So with that, I'll be happy to take any questions, but those charges were just filed just a few minutes ago, and as I mentioned, this case will be transferred into the adult system.
Question for you. So I know you mentioned officers had several indicators that this was possibly gang-related.
Yeah.
Do you believe that's the motive?
We certainly, as we screened it, We believe, as I mentioned, that we know that the shooter was a gang-related, and the 18-year-old was also suggested that was gang-affiliated with another gang as well. Yes. Yes.
You mentioned that West LA police responded. Did they fire any shots as well in taking?
Yes, that is a part of a separate investigation because, as you know, that anytime a law enforcement officer uses any lethal force, we have a task force that is invoked to do that investigation. That is the work of the task force that is ongoing in the context of the use of that force that was done. But for the purposes of our screening today, this is really on the charges. But yes, that did happen, and that's a separate, unconnected investigation that is pending.
So he talked about, I didn't shoot a baby.
Yeah.
It was that after police had informed him a baby had died, or how did he know that he had died?
Because from what we could gather, this was a very dynamic situation as we looked at the video that was presented as part of the investigation that they had gathered. That that you can see the initial target being HL, the 18-year-old, as he's trying to move away from him, he's shooting in that direction. And in the direction that he is shooting, where we have these other fatal injuries that occur, as well as the other two non-fatal injuries that occurred to people in that same direction.
Right, that was the first time he had heard of a baby dying.
So, from what I can understand, remember, is that as this happened, he was apprehended quickly, and as people started to realize what was happening, there were people yelling also of the people who had been injured. So we have reason to believe that that was also already available, but nobody knew for certain. But for the purpose of our probable cause, we know that as the detective was talking to him post Miranda, he informed him of all the fatalities.
And can you just talk about the callousnesses? I mean, 4 people are killed, and he denies even when the video is presented to him. That's really cold.
Again, under our system, there's a presumption of innocence. So these are allegations only for the purposes of talking about today of our filing charges. We believe, as we've articulated in our probable cause statement, that what we are witnessing, that there is a gun, that he is the alleged shooter, and that he drops the gun, and that is caught on video. As the screening was presented to us, we can see the area where the shooting occurs. We see Mr. Ione Register allegedly walk through the center of the frame where there's a group of people. He walks off the screen. Then there's a momentary break in the view of the camera, and you see one arm that is extended, and then re-enter back into it with that gun and firing, which is then captured. So those are the facts that were presented to us. Again, as I said, there's a presumption of innocence, but as you noted, Pat, that there are allegations of 4 losses of life. There are 3 individuals and 1 fetus with the 41-year-old mother, and it of course is heartbreaking and in terms of the injuries, but that is a very rare in terms of so many fatalities in a single allegation of criminal episode.
You mentioned charges 5 through 13 were discharge felonies. For people that aren't well versed in
Yeah.
the legal system, what does that mean?
That means if they were firing of a weapon, a discharge of a weapon resulting in serious bodily injury. So that's why it makes it into a first-degree felony. And those other lesser ones are causing bodily injury and then discharge by itself.
I think you hit on this, but are you saying, or do you believe that he went there, Mr. Register did, to cause this pain on the other gang member?
That is not what I'm suggesting. What I'm suggesting is that we, through the investigation, learned that the 18-year-old allegedly belonged to a different gang, which they have heard that have a beef with each other, and the alleged shooter belonged as a known member with a opposite gang. And you can see there is a group of people within the frame. People come in. They don't know if words are exchanged, but Ione Register kind of walks out of the frame, then re-enters back in the frame with his arm extended and allegedly with his arm extended and firing multiple rounds. HL tries to put distance between himself, runs away from him. He is pursued. He's on the ground. He falls on the ground, and then there are multiple shots fired at him, all within that direction. And within the backstop of that direction, we have the 41-year-old. We have the 8-month child, actually, who was in a stroller. They were twins, and hit one of them, and then the other folks who are also just coming to the carnival who are also hit as well.
Can you clarify again, how do you believe that this 16-year-old got this gun?
Again, don't know, but what we do know that as through the investigation, the gun came out as stolen from Crowley, Louisiana, and is listed as a stolen firearm out of Louisiana. How it ended up in Utah is anybody's guess.
So just to clarify Scott's question, do you believe he went there seeking out?
We don't know. We don't know. What we are filing on, what we do know is that they meet up. There's a group of people. He sort of walks in around. It's without sound. Whether they exchange words or not, he walks out and he comes back. I couldn't tell you what he was doing 2 hours before, or if he went there looking for them.
You can't say it was a chance encounter or not.
Yeah, we can. What we can say is that when this encounter occurs and how it occurs and who are the principal actors within that encounter.
Have you or will you work with the feds, the ATF, figure out then to backtrack this gun situation?
I always am curious, especially when they are stolen guns, how they ended up here. The most important part was that we wanted to know what the status of that gun was. And as I mentioned, the allegations of the charges that have been filed are quite serious in themselves. So I don't know, those inquiries with our local law enforcement partners are always ongoing.
How big of a concern is gang activity in West Valley City?
I wouldn't say in West Valley City alone. I've been here several times, and I have said this before, not talking about this case, but in general, to your general question. I am deeply concerned that I think we have about a 4 to 6 year window because our demographics are changing. We are going through an incredible growth period. And if you look, I think there was a study that was published just recently from or an acknowledgement from the School of Social Work. Historically, our cohorts generally have been, when it comes to homicides, have been usually about from 19 to about 28 or so. That is the cohort age population where we see the largest number of homicides occurring. For the first time in Utah, that has moved from 10 to 19. And so that cohort of homicides has moved down, which gives me concern. And it gives me concern that we are becoming more organized, we're becoming more sophisticated, as well as the proliferation and access to stolen guns in younger and younger ages is causing this kind of stuff. I was asked at another press conference once that is there more youth crime? My answer was there's not necessarily more youth crime, but the intensity of the crime that is occurring has increased. So instead of fighting with hands or other things, the easy access to guns is driving these numbers, and that's something we should be paying attention to. And if we don't pay attention to that, we're going to see more and more of this. And at least and this is my opinion only, I think we have about 4 to 6 years to really sort of invest in the infrastructure so we can stay on top of it.
Have you talked with the victim's family and what have they say? How are they coping?
We have a counseling unit which is reaching out to them, and of course, you can imagine the heartbreak and the impact that it has just on the loss of life. And then, of course, our social workers and counseling services are available to them. And we will continue to reach out and make those connections as this case progresses.
I think you hit on this, but it sounds like the suspect continued to fire rounds until the clip was empty.
That is what we understand, because the gun came to a locked position, And that often happens when you empty your magazine clip, and it will be in that final position.
Is there any possibility that this suspect will face death penalty?
That's a great question. The United States Supreme Court has ruled that minors cannot be face the death penalty. And in fact, not only the death penalty, but they also cannot face life without the possibility of parole. So that is from our federal system, and with good policy behind that for their rationale. But in the state of Utah, as a prosecutor, if you're between the ages of 16 and 18 and you commit murder or aggravated murder, we have the option to move it from juvenile court into the adult court. And that is given the allegations of number of lives lost, as well as the relative age. That is the option that we are exercising. So this is being filed in adult court.
So it's possible.
Huh?
So it's possible.
No, it's death penalty. The United States Supreme Court has ruled that juveniles cannot be put to death. The United States Supreme Court has also ruled that you cannot have life without the possibility of parole. And Utah law is consistent with that federal rule. Anybody else?
Do you know what sort of firearm was used?
Yeah, this was, as I mentioned, a Taurus 9mm handgun. Yeah.
Is this the first time your office has filed charges in the death of an unborn child, a homicide charge?
I don't believe so. I believe we've had other cases where that has happened. Utah law allows that a fetus in the form of pregnancy there will be counted towards that. And as I mentioned to you, that initially when law enforcement responded, that was what their initial understanding was. But as the investigation and the autopsy went through, that was discovered. And later it was also discovered both the mother and the father were aware of the pregnancy. In fact, I believe they had their 2-month checkup that day. Any other questions? Thank you.